Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement. Hello again, St. Lucia, and welcome to the program, Agriculture on the Move. I am Philip Sidney, your host. Today we are going to discuss a very, very important program. Some of you may have heard about other programs featuring that commodity, but in keeping with our food and nutrition security, this is the mantra of the ministry. Diversification has been around for a while, so we need to continue with diversification. We are diversifying with bananas, and there are many, many commodities that we can diversify with to ensure that our food security is in place. With me today is Mr. Eloy Alexis, who is the coordinator of the cocoa project, which is a new project, but he's also the regional supervisor for the Extension Region 6 Extension project. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thanks for having me, Mr. Sidney.
Eloy, cocoa has been around for a while. I grew up on a farm, and of course, I remember, going into the cocoa field and actually eating, not chewing, but sucking on the bean. These are things that we did as little, but not knowing the importance of cocoa. Though, as a cottage industry, in the past, that's what used to happen. People do their own cocoa stick at home. I remember my mom, my dad used to do that, and but it has grown now. We have chocolates are being made in St. Lucia right now, so we're expanding, and we need to continue that process. That new cocoa project, how was that project conceptualized, and give us the objectives of that project?
All right. As you rightly said, Mr. Sidney, cocoa has been with us for a while, and that in the past we have had initiative targeting at rehabilitation of the cocoa subsector, and this time around, in 2020, what we did under the stewardship of Mr. Kemwell Jabatis, we did a rapid assessment of the industry to find the status of the industry. So the extension officers did a survey of all cocoa fields in St. Lucia, and the result that we got was we had approximately 900 acres of cocoa, and in terms of field density per acre, we discovered that it is kind of low. The average plant density per acre currently in St. Lucia is 168 plants per acre, which is very low compared to when we consider traditional planting density, where you get 300 plants per acre. When you take the standard, is 400, and right now people are going into high density planting, where they can get all 800 plants per acre. So in terms of the rationale for a cocoa expansion and rehabilitation program, we thought cocoa in terms of what is going on globally. There's a global demand for cocoa and its byproducts. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And that in St. Lucia, no doubt, we have the microclimatic condition and the cadre of farmers who can produce these crops successfully. Also, we looked at in terms of climate change. The cocoa plant is more resilient when it comes to climate change compared to bananas. Although there are two major, in terms of mega weather phenomenon, which is El Nino and La Nina, which also have an impact on the plant, but it is not as serious, crucial as compared to bananas. So the cocoa plant is able to really withstand the vagaries of the weather much better than the bananas. Also, in terms of another rationale where we decided, we realize currently in St. Lucia, there's a demand for cocoa beans. Quite a few people are involved in agro-processing of cocoa. Most of the hotels in St. Lucia are producing chocolates. A lot of people are producing cocoa sticks, which is being sold locally, and even export to the French territories, Martinique and Guadeloupe. So the people are there's always a shortage of cocoa beans on the island. So, and also it complements well, it augurs well in terms of as an additional, an optional crop for diversification. So these are the rationale why we chose to really decide to really go and look into resuscitating the industry and also expanding the industry.
Eloy, that is a very good initiative. The only concern I have, unlike other projects, like I'm referring to cocoa, in the past there was a cocoa program, I think in 2009. There was rehabilitation, there was expansion, and all of a sudden it died a natural death. So much so, I recall there was a cocoa fermentary that was built in Angers, and it has not been commissioned. What makes this project special in terms of continuity?
Well, in terms of that project being special, in terms of the intervention that we have shortlisted under this project, will be compared to other projects where they never really focus on really capacity building. This time around, we'll place a lot of emphasis on capacity building, training of the farmers. I don't think ever we have really targeted agro-processors. This time around, we are going to be targeting agro-processors and be providing them training in terms of product safety and so forth, and product development. In the past, the other projects in terms of, they never really focused. We did not get a cocoa project that focused on all aspects of cocoa production, rehabilitation, expansion, and training of farmers. So they use some of those in the past used to looked at maybe rehabilitation or expansion. Typical example in 2009, as you said, we focus heavily on rehabilitation or pruning of cocoa fields for farmer. And I must add, most time when these things dies a natural death is that very often when government intercede and on the farmer's farm, we do it in a manner that we expect the farmers to continue pruning that cocoa field. And what we see after we have pruned for them, these fields tend to go back after 1 or 2 years, go back to the original state. So we expect the farmer, whatever intervention that we have taken on the farm in terms of pruning, rehabilitation, we expect the farmer to take it from there and run with it, because very often we do not have the kind of resources to really undertake a cocoa rehabilitation program on the island, be it let's say every 3 or 4 years.
So the training component is very crucial.
Very important.
And so that's a component that it will be funded under that project.
It is going to be funded under that project, and quite luckily, FAO under the ACP MEES project, which is currently being executed in St. Lucia, they have decided to give us $82,000. So that money is going to be used. As of last week, we had an engagement with a facilitator in terms of fermentation and drying of cocoa, so that we're going to have this training for the farmers. So that money will be spent on training agro-processors, farmers in fermentation, drying, and also the agronomy of the crop also.
Okay. In terms of the acreage for expansion on new establishment, how many acres are you looking at, and among how many farmers?
All right. So in terms of expansion, we are looking at expanding by 298 acres. And in terms of rehabilitation, we are looking at 123 acres. And I must say, among the area, the field that we're going to rehabilitate in terms of pruning, based on the planting density I alluded to earlier on, in terms of the field density per acre, which is 168 plants, we have made our calculation and we realize that we have to, these existing estates, we have to plant an additional 78 acres to really bring it to optimal planting density. Yeah.
Okay. But then let's look at marketing. You made mention of local marketing, agro-processing, etc. Years ago, we were exporting dry beans.
Right.
That was a big thing for St. Lucia via the Agricultural Association. Where is that? Is that part and parcel of the program in terms of marketing, exporting our beans?
Yes, very much so. And I don't know if you can recall, the minister, our current minister, and a delegation went from Ministry of Commerce and Export St. Lucia toward England, and cocoa was one of the crops that they really went and find out if they were really wanted to buy. But notwithstanding, St. Lucia, we do export beans. There are two entities right now in St. Lucia, Hotel Chocolat and Unionville, who exports beans. So these two entities, especially in the case of Hotel Chocolat, they would they have their own farm estates, but they would purchase the beans from farmers, wet beans. So they pay them $3. They would ferment, dry, and they would export it to England. So the farmers have that option of selling the beans to Hotel Chocolat. So they do not have to go through the hassle of fermenting, drying. So they just sell the wet beans to Hotel Chocolat directly.
Because Hotel Chocolat has a program where they actually give the farmers planting material, and then in exchange they will sell the beans to them. How is that in terms of, so there's some sort of symbiotic relationship between that program the ministry is doing and Hotel Chocolat and the likes?
Well, that is because we had an engagement with farmers in terms of the hotel, because what we want to do is to look at the subsector, the cocoa sector holistically. And we did some cost analysis also in terms of selling your raw beans vis-a-vis adding value to it. And we realized that where the money lies in the sector
value added.
is adding the value to it. So we realize the farmers kind of are being shortchanged in terms of based on the kind of money that is being generated in terms of when you add value to it. So we had some consultations with farmers around the island in terms of a governance structure for the industry. And that we are proposing a cooperative structure where farmers can sell their beans to the cooperative, and the cooperative will be involved in a number of activities: the provision of inputs to farmers, agro-processing, and our vision is to, if there's any profit which has been accrued, that some of that profit would be repatriated to the persons who are producing the beans. That's
fantastic. I can see that the commissioning of this plant in Angers may come to fruition after all. Oh, wow. Anyway, we are due for a break. You're watching Agriculture on the Move. Stay tuned. We'll be back very, very soon.
What is biodiversity?
When you look at biodiversity, it's all around.
I think of biological and I think of diversity.
What is biosafety?
Safety measures for our foods, our products, etc.
Biodiversity is the variety of life. Biosafety, on the other hand, involves the management of products of biotechnology, such as GMOs and LMOs. Biosafety seeks to protect St. Lucia's biodiversity. The terms biodiversity and biosafety are not interchangeable. Get familiar with these terms. Observe the biodiversity around you, the changing environment of food production and sustainable growth. Do your part. Visit our websites and stay tuned to this station for more information on the National Biosafety Framework.
Welcome back to the program, Agriculture on the Move. And of course, with me, my guest, Eloy Alexis, who is the coordinator of the new cocoa initiative. And of course, cocoa, as we all know, is one of the crops that will not die. You see, bananas will die, bananas is still alive. Cocoa will be here, will be gone, and cocoa will still be here. But Eloy, moving forward, what are the incentives to the farmers? Because we have gone to the farmer and we have seen programs failed. In this new initiative, what it is in terms of sensitization, have you all had meetings with the farmers to tell them about this project? Are they, buying into it, and they're hoping to take your advice and to go ahead and to get the extension officers to implement the project in a very efficient way?
Well, as I said, alluded to earlier, we've had public consultations with the farmer in terms of a governance structure for the industry.
All right.
So we went to the major production belt of cocoa on the island, and we basically sold our proposal to the farmers. So they were very receptive in terms of what we proposed, and so the project also, it's in its embryonic stages, and that the resources, the financial resources, has not been disbursed per se in terms of the first and second quarter allocation. But we are moving ahead. In terms of incentives for farmers, prior to the project coming on stream, we had a bar propagation facility. One of the components of the project that we're going to provide the farmers with seedlings.
So you get that free?
So it will be at just a token of appreciation, not free.
Not free, yes.
So, yeah.
I agree.
So
don't give them free.
Yeah. So when you give people free,
they don't appreciate.
They don't appreciate.
Yes.
So we'll be attaching a value of $2 per plant.
Okay, that's good.
So it will be further subsidized to the farmers.
Okay.
So in terms of the training I mentioned, we may not see, but there's a cost attached to training people or building capacity also.
Yes.
So we're looking at in terms of the person, not only farmers, but as I said, we are targeting agro processors.
All right.
We'll be offering the training, and we'll be purchasing equipment for the agro processors also.
Okay. All right.
The farmers will be also providing them with equipment, pole saws, weed eaters, and so forth.
Okay.
So all of these are benefits where the farmers tend to
benefit from.
Okay.
Is that project island-wide, looking at the various local in terms of its ecological zones where it can be grown? So is it island-wide?
It is an island-wide project, but emphasis will be placed, as you rightly said, that cocoa is a crop that grows in specific microclimatic condition, and that the areas in St. Lucia, which is very synonymous with cocoa production, is Region 6, the Soufrière area.
Oh yes.
The Region 1 and 2 Barbono area, Region 3, Region 4, and Region 7, millet and
millets. Yes.
These are the areas where you find the majority of the cocoa estates or cocoa producers.
I'm happy you said Barbono in the area, because I have a niece of mine, a grandniece of mine, who's probably watching. Donna, I hope so. Place is an area that you can plant cocoa. So check your extension officer. When it comes to pest management, I know we had a major problem with black pod. Where are we with that in terms of pest control and moving forward in that project?
In terms of pest management and fungal diseases is a major problem in cocoa production, and due to the erratic changes in the weather pattern, that today you might have rain and afterwards you have a dry spell of 2 to 3 days. So it creates the condition, the platform for the spread of or the proliferation of fungal diseases. So right now we have a serious issues in terms of the incidence of black pod on cocoa. And it may stem through the lack of management or cultural practices on the farm.
Right.
So hence the reason why we'll be in terms of pruning, showing the farmers how to prune so that you get adequate light penetration on the farm or on the plant also.
Beautiful.
So the training about the agronomy is going to bring the farmers up to level in terms of what they need to do to really curtail, minimize on these spread of diseases. At some point we had a little problem with witch's broom, but we were able to really suppress the disease and so forth.
Okay.
And of late, the research department will be conducting a surveillance in terms of that disease, which call frosty pod.
Yes.
It is in Jamaica, but I do not think we have it down here.
Well, let's pray to get down here.
Let's pray that we don't get it down.
But they also have some epiphytes on the stem, so that has to be controlled physically.
It has to be controlled physically. So hence the reason why part of the training that we're going to inculcate to the farmers that they have to really go and take out this epiphyte because it competes with the plants.
It does. It does. Yeah.
Do so.
And in terms of shade trees, are the farmers going to purchase that on their own in the new establishment, or is the project going to, give them plants for shade trees?
All right. As I said, the farmers will get, in terms of access to these shade trees at a subsidized price.
Oh, the shade trees are subsidized?
At subsidized price. So
both the plants, the cocoa plants themselves, and the shade trees.
Yeah.
Okay.
So remember that in terms of shade trees, you can select immortel or plant of economic importance.
But what are you all suggesting moving forward? Because especially, from immortel, you don't get anything coming from immortel.
Immortel.
Yeah, maybe apart from soaring it, getting buds. But in terms of a crop of economic importance.
And that's the norm in St. Lucia. Most of the estates, the shade trees are crops of economic importance. The nutmeg, avocado, and we're not going to and it's augur well in terms of for at least diversifying the farmer's income base. So the time that he'll not be harvesting cocoa, that he may have nutmeg, avocado, or mango.
In fact, I'm thinking here, whilst you're preparing your land and you've planted, your shade crops, and there'll be still room, you can plant short-term crops.
Short-term crops, exactly.
Before the canopy takes over the entire thing.
Remember, you spoke about permanent shade.
Right.
Remember, there's the temporary shade, where you use the Musa species.
Yes, you can use a plantain, you can use bananas. Yes,
so all of these can be supplied.
Correct. In terms of soil nutrients, what sort of program is there to assist the farmer with fertilization?
Well, the project, our vision was to at least based on what in terms of the dimension of the project of rehabilitating 123 acres, expanding by 298 acres. The allocation which the Prime Minister made is of $1.4 million.
Okay.
It is going to need much more than this.
Okay.
And hence the reason why we have, through the Office of the Prime Minister, the Performance Management and Delivery Unit, we have written a proposal to CDB requesting an additional $5 million to really do all what we envision to do under this project. So presently the proposal is at the Ministry of Agriculture where they are vetting it. So, but for now, the money that we have will not be. So we are taking the most important aspect of cocoa, and then we go in based on the resources that we have available to us. We're going to go ahead with it.
Eloy, let me play devil's advocate here. Okay, you are saying you do not have all the funds to execute the project, right? So you're hoping you will get it. But do you believe? Don't go out there and tell farmers you're you're going to do this, you're going to do A and B. And when the time comes for continuation to get that fund or second phase, if I may call it that way, and you don't get it, what's going to happen? I mean, are you sure you're going to get that? Because these are questions, that's important to answer,
That is very important, hence the reason why we do not want to really go and over pronounce that we're going to do this, or in terms of assistance to the farmers, in terms of what they're going to get. But in terms of what the project, has been the targeted intervention, was what I have alluded to, and it is going to cost a lot of money in terms of so we need to get the financing so that we can undertake all the activities that we have shortlisted under the project.
When it comes to tools and equipment, all right, you'll need, of course, pruning tools. You would need sprayers and stuff like this for pest and disease management. At whose cost? Is it at the farmer's cost, or is part and parcel of the project? We
can look at an option in terms of, if we have, as I said, we'll be providing small tools to the farmers, like weed eater, pole saws, and,
so that's part of it.
So forth. But in terms of the pruning, that we might give somebody a contract.
So they'll move from farm to farm.
Yeah, to go and prune for the farmers, and that contractor is expected or will be expected to have his or her own equipment to go and.
So in every locale, there will probably be a crew, like a crew in north, a crew, maybe in the south, southwest, and that kind of thing. That's how it's going to work.
That would be the ideal scenario based on the vast acreage that we have to undertake. 123 acres of cocoa to rehabilitate would need more than one crew of personnel to go and do the pruning, the phytosanitary measures and so forth. So it would call for more than one crew. So to do it at a time when, very importantly, it must be done before the cocoa really starts to flower or the onset of the rainy season, because that's the time the cocoa is going. So you do not want to interrupt with when the cocoa is flowering for you.
And finally, extension's involvement.
Extension has been crucial in terms of in that cocoa sector enhancement program. They were the one who did the survey of the industry, and that in terms of moving forward, they will be fully on board. Even the extension officers at some point will receive training just to freshen them up in terms of the agronomy of the crop.
Yeah, so 1 second, final words from you.
I look in terms of the project to be a very good project for St. Lucia, given right now the global importance that attached to cocoa, and that we have the microclimatic condition so that we can really go into cocoa, and quite a few people in terms of the cottage industry, agro-processing, quite a few people have come on board, which is very good. And as I said, that is where the money lies.
Definitely.
In Ghana, just last year, the government decreed that they're not going to export their raw beans to Europe. So they are going to assist, they are providing assistance to the agro-processors so that the money stays in country. What used to happen that you export the beans to Europe and gets back to the.
So we have to do the same here.
Same here.
Yeah, I agree.
And we cannot. The average Ghanaian could not afford to buy a bar of chocolate.
Yes, I understand.
So we have to let the money. As I said, food security has many facets in terms of. So let's get the money.
Definitely.
To stay in St. Louis.
Eloy, thank you for being here, man. You've come to the end of the program. I'm hoping that I know it will be successful. But again, I'm still saying, let us have all hands on deck to ensure that we satisfy the farmer, because he's the one that's getting all the shitty end of the stick. Okay.
So
you have been watching Agriculture on the Move. Remember, agriculture, our business, and we will be having a cocoa festival pretty soon too, after our Simos Festival in October 16th. I'm Philip Sidney. Goodbye. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole Mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole Mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.